It's a pleasure and an honor to be here in this sanctuary with you as we take the time to grieve, consider, think about, celebrate, and understand as best we can this Good Friday. So we come together tonight to rest in the shadow of the cross. We may be seeking forgiveness. We may be in need of a renewed relationship with God. We may feel abandoned, even distressed by the silence when we beseech God to appear. Perhaps we seek reunion with the Spirit of Christ or with ourselves. What we know is that we rarely arrive here clothed in glory. There is no horns to sound or drums to bang, and there are no triumphant parades, not on this day. There is only a crown of thorns, mockery, and a grief that has lasted generations. So we come together to mourn our sibling Christ, passing from this world to the next. We share in the sorrow of death and the unknown. We mourn with parents and friends, with community and alone. Whether we are on the outskirts looking in or feel surrounded by a great love, we will pass this way together. You are welcome here. Join with me in the invocation. O Good Friday, we place ourselves as far from you as possible and remember how we left you alone, yes, you, who has never abandoned even the worst of us. Hear our prayers of grief and regret. As you linger between palms and an empty tomb, we have done wrong to turn our backs on you. We ask forgiveness through our deeds, through generosity and action within our congregation and community. Hear our prayers of grief and regret. We cannot rewrite the story, but we may add new chapters. We can strive to become people who would ask for your release, who would beg the authorities to grant you clemency, who would treat your teachings as the roadmap we've been searching for to lead us to radical compassion. Hear our prayers of grief and regret. We can learn from this day. We must accept it as part of who we are, and what we have done before we move on to new life. No one spoke for you. Now we must speak for those who are despised. We must listen to those who have been suppressed. God, hear these prayers of grief and regret. Let us go out and turn them into action. Amen. Our hymn is number 648. We'll sing the whole thing, and those who are able, please rise. enlightening, praying hope into despair. My God, why have you left me all alone? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my anguished groans? My God, I cry out during the day, but you don't answer. Even at nighttime, I don't stop. Whenever we encounter distress, let us bring light. Bring me the orange one. Oh. My God, I call on you. See me, hear me, hold me safe. You are the Holy One enthroned. You are Israel's praise. Our ancestors trusted you. They trusted you and you rescued them. They cried out to you and they were saved. They trusted you and they weren't ashamed. But I'm just a worm, less than human, insulted by one person, despised by another. All who see me make fun of me. They gape, shaking their heads. That one was committed to God, so let God plan a rescue. Let God deliver, since this one was God's favorite. Whenever we witness bullying, let us bring light. You, the Holy One, raise me up that I may recommit myself to grace. But you are the one who pulled me from the womb, placing me safely at my mother's breast. I was thrown on you from birth. You've been my God since I was in my mother's womb. Wherever a child of God finds safety, let us bring light. You pulled me from the womb, O God. Parent me now with gentleness and compassion. Please don't be far from me, because trouble is near, and there's no one to help. Many bulls surround me. Mighty bulls from Bashan encircle me. They open their mouths at me like a lion, ripping and roaring. I'm poured out like water. All my bones have fallen apart. My heart is like wax. It melts inside me. My strength is dried up like a piece of broken pottery. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You've set me down in the dirt of death. Whoever is suffering, let us bring light. Please don't be far from me, though I was born alone and I may die by the same. Be by my side through every stumbling step. Dogs surround me, a pack of evil people circle me like a lion. Oh, my poor hands and feet, I can count all my bones. Meanwhile, they just stare at me, watching me. They divvy up my garments among themselves. They cast lots for my clothes. Whoever are victimized and alone, let us bring light. Dogs may surround me and snap at my heels, God, but I trust in you to guide me, to gentle them. But you, God, don't be far away. You are my strength. Come quick and help me. Deliver me from the sword. Deliver my life from the power of the dog. Save me from the mouth of the lion, from the horns of the wild oxen. You have answered me. I will declare your name to my brothers and sisters. I will praise you in the very center of the congregation, all of you who revere the God, sing praise. All of you who are descendants of the story, give honor. All of you who are offspring of human struggle, stand in awe. Whoever is threatened by word or weapon, let us bring light. But you, Lord, stay near. Through every door, through sorrows may abound. You comfort me, because you didn't despise or detest the suffering of anyone who suffered. Don't hide or turn away from me, but listen. You listened when I cried out for help. I offer praise in the great congregation because of you. I will fulfill my promises in the presence of those who honor God. For we honor God, who is the source of hope. Let us bring light. God will not despise suffering. No. God rejoices in our softness as in our resilience. God soothes us in grief and clarifies our joy until both are honed as tools of resistance and liberation. Let all those who are suffering eat and be filled. Let all those who seek God offer praise. I pray your hearts live forever. Every part of the earth will remember and come back to God. Every family among all the nations will worship you, because the right to rule belongs to God. God rules all nations. Indeed, all the earth's powerful will worship. All who are descending to the dust will kneel. My being also has come alive, for God is love and abundance. Let us bring light. Let all who are suffering hear this. God will not abandon you. God will be in the hands and feet of those who ease your pain, and in the earth that provides for you, and in the paths that spread out before you when you least expect reprieve. Future descendants will serve God. Generations to come will be told about God. They will proclaim God's righteousness to those not yet born, telling them what God has done. And when we think of God, we know that God brings reconciliation and with it justice. Let us bring light. Future descendants will look to us and ask, where did you find God when the world became wild? We must remember then that God is in our hearts and our hands and in those who have been abused and abandoned. God is in the shadow of the cross with its power to change us all if we pause to hear the pain and respond with love. Amen. I invite Heather now to come forward to introduce us to a new concept, to share a little bit about her journey, and to bring newness to this evening when we think about Christ on the cross.
Cheers, fellows. Such a pleasure to celebrate this Good Friday this evening with all of you. Such a conflict it is, the celebration of a very difficult day that took place many, many, many years ago, we really have to consciously reframe the value that we are offered in this time, in this age, because we know the end of the story. We know, in fact, that Jesus is resurrected. We choose to follow him through his words of guidance, offering our value of calm body, peaceful minds, and light spirits, the very tenets of wellness that we all aspire to each and every day. When the Reverend spoke of my story, I actually have experienced a remarkable miracle, one that I do my level best to build upon each and every day. After 38 years of chronic pain, I have recovered from fibromyalgia. I was led by Spirit through the associations of my body speaking. And my experience throughout that recovery has most absolutely been one of resurrection. I found through the years of my own experience in today's time to be disheartening. And I turned to a medicine which is now being associated with today's neuroscience and consciousness. I'm a practitioner of shamanic wellness, and as I was reminded by my new friend Susan this evening, perhaps this is why my goosebumps all became alive as I walked into this church, is that we are in fact sitting in the network field of the Lenapes, who also turned to the indigenous medicine of their creator. So this evening, what I've been invited to offer all of you is a brief meditation wherein I will be drumming. Everyone just enjoy your inner senses, explore your comfort in soothing your grief over the anniversary of the loss that is expressed through tradition today. But I hope that you'll remember as well that we know what those folks didn't know at that time, that the closure is only a beginning. So I thank all of you for joining me. I encourage you throughout the drumming to just close your eyes and ponder the fact that with the use of the drum, even as the unborn within our mother's womb, as Jesus was within Mary's, we sense the heartbeat before we hear it. So I welcome you all to sense the healing that we all have to offer in moving through the continuation of this blessed Holy Week and through our lives ongoing. Thank you very much.
God, we who have turned away from the pain of this day, who jump straight from the glory of palms to the celebration of resurrection, we must be called to remember. You are the grief. You are the loss that haunts us, not just on this day, but throughout our lives. You are the faces of the parents whose children have been pulled from cars or out of their beds to be slain, and in the homes that have collapsed, caught fire, or washed away. You are in the fear, walking through the grocery store, movie theater, parade, and school. An eye out for the weapon that may transform normalcy into death. You are in the desperate families fleeing oppression, violence, and unrest. And you are in those who stay to fight, and yes, also in those who cower to survive. You are in women protecting their bodies, and in children for whom life is the ultimate struggle. You witness the mask worn by those without privilege, the rage for those without representation, the guilt in those who know they can't or won't or haven't done enough. But you are also in the crumpled bills tucked into the hand of one with a damp cardboard sign. You are in the decision to use restorative justice over juvenile detention, in mental health services instead of mistrust. You are in the enthusiasm of the young who show up to vote, to protest, to bring the reckoning to the feet of the oppressors. You are in the small square plots of garden tucked between high-rises and in the hands of those who are turning back to simpler ways to live on this earth. You are in the stories of hope, even on this day when you were denied and beaten, thrown to the bitter crowds, and left to die. Still you are present in our highest love for community and justice. You, who must have felt forsaken on that cross, have never turned your back on us. You are here when we seek you. You are here when we need you. You are here through whatever has happened and whatever may come, in a stable or in the temple, in a ship in the storm, or reaching out to the lepers, in an upstairs room, or a lonely garden, or a prison cell. Even when you are strung up, seemingly out of reach, you are here. We are not alone. We may call out, feel forsaken, burn with pain. We may be given more than any one person should have to handle, and still we are held by you. Remember, though, this day and all days to pause. There may be a cross you could carry, a verdict you could overthrow, a hand to hold. God is with us, in us, and acting through us this day and forevermore. Amen. Our closing hymn is on the insert in your bulletin. I ask that you remain seated while we sing this hymn and as the lights begin to dim. If I could tell you one thing I have learned, it is to go when the wind is blowing just right, when the sun is out, when people are calling for you. Don't hesitate. Tomorrow might be grim. Tomorrow, death may call on you, or on one you love, and you will regret that you did not feel the wind once more before you had to leave.